Hi, welcome to part. Hi. Oh, I get kisses. Hi, welcome to part of my Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you do not have a friend, you have got some now. I'm here with Rosie and Coco, and Noir is over here running around. Today, Lola is, I think she's up in bed somewhere. But Rosie and Coco have their sloppy kisser Valentine's Day shirts on today, and we are celebrating Valentine's Day. Our previous video was a fun-loving one where we talked about the joys of Valentine's Day and how you don't need a human Valentine's. Sometimes, you know, Valentine's Day can be celebrated with family and you know, your animals, and you can do all sorts of fun things. And Valentine's Day is all about love and friendship and just, you know, everybody just taking care of each other and loving each other and being friends and you know, all that good stuff. So anyways, so today's episode is going to be one that's more serious, and I think I brought that up. I know we don't love, so Noir doesn't often like the more serious topics, but sometimes we have to talk about the more serious topics. I know, I know, but they have to hear about the serious topics sometimes. So I know serious topics sometimes are a little upsetting, but people sometimes need to hear about the serious topics, Noir, because the serious topics are ones that people ask about the more often. So I know, but they get upsetting. I know. Sit. Come here, sit. She doesn't want to. I know. I get upset too. But again, these are the topics that often people will reach out. I know. We're going to give her a minute. To voice her opinion on the topic. She wants Rosie to come down and play with her. And Rosie's quite sit. Hang on. Sit. Noir, sit. Come here. Sit. This is how they play. They play like this all the time. And Rosie and no. Okay, so side note from all of the topic stuff, because that's what happens sometimes when you film with animals. You don't often get to stay on your topic as much as you would like to, and most of the time they like to throw you off, as you can see, but that's okay because we love them and they're on their own schedule. So anyways, back to our serious topic, which we'll whisper about since it's upsetting somebody. But anyways, so now she's, come here. Can you sit down with Grandma? Come here, sit with Grandma. Come here. Come here. Come, sit. No. Come. Hey. You're gonna go home. You wanna go home? No, we don't go home. All right, stop. She wants to play with her phone. Come here. You're not going to be able to be on TV. Okay. Back to this. No. All right, I'm going to have to take a quick break, and we're going to have to remove Noir because she is not being quiet. No, she's not being quiet. So we're going to have to remove her because she's not being quiet for us. So I will be right back. We're going to take a quick break. Stop. All right. Bye. I know you're going to have to be removed. I know. I'm going to remove your friend. Because she can. Okay. All right, now we are back. Nope, sit. No, okay, now you can. Now we're back, and all right, welcome back. So Miss Noir had to take a little small time out since she wanted to continue to talk, and now Coco is eating the roses that she cannot eat. So there's that. So okay. Back to the serious topic, shall we? Okay. Evidently, Coco likes the taste of roses. So that's something we learned is new. Okay. So back to our serious topic. With regards to Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day encompasses a lot of things that, revolves around happiness and love. And as you saw in the other video, we had a lot of happy dog videos and bunnies and all sorts of things. And that's one thing I do love about Valentine's Day is just a celebration of, again, you don't have to be paired as a couple in order to celebrate Valentine's Day. It is something that, can be, shared with a family or kids. And I always get my kids something every year for Valentine's Day and so forth. So anyways, but now Coco is dead set on these flowers, just kind of FYI. I don't know why. I don't think she's ever seen them before. But she has evidently gotten a taste of a rose and now wants to probably eat the rest of them. Coco, no, she's deaf, so she can't really hear me, but she is now fixated on them. But she cannot have them. That's a no. So back to Valentine's Day. This is the serious episode that I talked about, and the other one that I said that we were going to have. This is about the ultimate sign of love, since we're talking about Valentine's Day. And when it goes to pet loss, this is our pet loss episode, and it is the topic or the question that I get all the time, and it is, when is the right time? When is the right time to say goodbye to our pet at the end of their life? And the reason why I decided to bring this topic up on Valentine's Day is because yesterday, when I was out and about, I just happened to be at driving in a mall area, and they have a vet in that area. And I was pulling in to go to another store, and as I was pulling in, there was a lady, and she maybe had a medium-sized dog, probably, 50 pounds-ish. And she had gotten out of her vehicle as I was pulling into the space, and the dog had a cone on its head. It must have had some sort of surgery or something like that. Dog had a cone on its head, and I mean, dog looked pretty lifeless. So here's this little lady. I mean, if she was maybe, 5'5", she was pretty average, little lady-ish, carrying this dog that was pretty, like I said, something, but and as I was parking the car, I made I had my daughter with me, and I just made and I just said no. My daughter said, what? And she said, well, I said, that lady, I said, she's, carrying her dog in, and the store that we were going into just happened to be next to this vet. And as we were walking into the store, I had seen she was at the counter. Now, this part kind of bothered me. Actually, bothered me a lot. But she was at the counter, like telling the staff, there was like 3 people behind the counter, and she's got her dog laying on the floor, and she's checking in. Now, granted, I don't know, I'm being judgmental here. And I don't know, I'm being judgmental. I'm just going to say I'm being judgmental. But in a situation like that, when clearly, in my opinion, it was an emergency situation, and I don't know the situation at all, but when I see a situation where the dog is basically lifeless, she's highly upset, and you've got 3 people behind a counter, her dog's laying on the floor, and she's trying to get something out of her purse to check in. No, they should have immediately taken that dog from her and taken her to a back room. You can do the paperwork later. Get her to a room. That's my personal opinion. But I don't work there. It's not my job. It's not my job to judge people either. But I'm also for the experience as well, because every moment that you have in what I consider a crisis situation like that, and nothing traumatic was happening around her. The dog wasn't seizing. There was nothing quote unquote traumatic that was to the human eye happening around her. The fact that she was struggling carrying in a 50-pound dog that was her dog, probably, the family dog, that was lifeless, didn't know what was going on with that dog, maybe had kids at home, that she was, she probably had 50 million things going on in her life. I mean, that's a traumatic event for this lady. So in my opinion, everything you do as a vet staff and in that office is important, because everything you do, that lady is going to remember. Anytime I've ever had to take my dogs at the end of their life, I remember every moment of when I walked into that office, to signing papers, to things that people said to me, and especially if it was a negative experience. And people don't realize that. I don't necessarily fault the people on the other end of saying things, because I think, I think just some people just don't think in life. Or they don't realize the stupid shit that comes out of their mouth. Pardon my Frenchie. But but what humans have to realize is that in situations of peril or trauma like that, it's very important that it's very, very important what you say to somebody and how you say it. And even if you don't think that what you did or what you said means anything or is any big deal, it is a big deal. So, I can give you, a couple instances where, here's a good instance. I had my one dog that, she was, so one of my biggest things is, my dogs are always, they're very attached to their collars. They're very, very attached to their collars for some reason. and it's anytime I change their colors, which I change them out every month because I always like to decorate. I always like to go with the seasons. I know they all match. They all go with every season. I change their colors out with the seasons. I like to do seasons. Call me weird, but anytime I've had to take them to the vet, you know, to let them go, I won't let the vet take their collar off until after they're gone. Because when they, whenever you take their collar off prior to that, for some reason they get panicky. I don't know, like I feel like they're going up for adoption or something. I don't know why, but they're really attached to their collars. Even when I change them out every month, it's like they like freak out, like, where's my collar? Where's my new one? Or, you know, I don't know. So like I won't let the vets take their collars off before they're gone. And then afterwards I will take their collars off. But I won't let them take them off before they're gone. My one dog, at the end, she was, she was a little bitey at the end. And they had put like a muzzle on her. And, you know, I said, take it off. And they said, well, you know, she's being bitey, you know, she's being, you know, bitey. And I said, take it off. I said, she's not leaving this world with a muzzle on her mouth. That's not happening. And, you know, so they're like, well, you know, she bite. I said, no, you know, and I took it off of her and I laid down right next to her face, and it was just her and I. There was no way she was going to bite the staff, but there was also no way she was going to leave this planet with a muzzle on her face. You know, it's just simple things like that, you know, but again, these people, it's not their dogs, you know, or it's not their family members. So, you know, you're an advocate for your animal. You know, there's, you know, a couple other situations that I'm not going to speak about here, but, you know, like I said, these are things that as an owner stick with you. And I'm sure maybe, you know, if it ended up being that lady's last trip to that vet, she's going to remember that. She's going to remember that, you know, nobody held the damn door for her going into that office, that they made her lay her dog on the damn dirty floor while she looked for something in her purse. So anyways, but back to the topic of love. Now that I went off on a tangent like that, but back to the topic of love. I get asked all the time, when do you know when the right time is? Now, and why am I tying this to Valentine's Day and a happy time? Well, I tie it to Valentine's Day because when you make that decision, it is probably one of the hardest decisions that you will have to make. And it is, in my opinion, one of the most ultimate signs of love that you can do for your animals. And there is no bigger there is no bigger acts of love than being with them and letting them pass in peace, rather than, you know, them suffer or you know, go through something horrible, where they can, you know, be with you and maybe be with the family and just drift off to sleep. There's no, you know, bigger act of love than that. And that's why I'm tying it to Valentine's Day, because that is such a selfless act of love, because this is something that, you know, you love, you know, with all of your heart, and something that you take care of 365 days out of the year. You know, you spend a lot of money on. You go to the vet, you know, feed and just, you know, you live for it every day. You know, you live for these animals. And so when when it comes to situations like that, it's one of the hardest things in the world for a dog owner or cat owner or, whatever kind of animal you have to make. But it's one that you're doing completely out of love. So, the biggest question is when is the right time? And I tell people all the time, and and they say, oh, what? And it's true. The answer is typically they will tell you. They will tell you, and I know that's kind of a stupid answer, but you'll know. You'll know. And a lot of times your vets can help direct you, but you'll know. Their bodies will get tired. If they've stopped eating, if they've stopped drinking, if their quality of life has severely gone downhill. If, God forbid, if there's any pain involved, Jesus, you don't want that. You'd never want it to get down to the point where there's pain involved. But, I, on my last one, he had to take so many meds, he had to take, gosh, and he was, 5-6 meds. And he was on like 5 or 6 meds, God, like every 4 or 5 hours. And the majority of them were heart meds. And he needed those in order to not go into congestive heart failure. And he did that for 2 months. And then all of a sudden he completely stopped eating, which meant he stopped taking his pills. And he wouldn't, I couldn't get that dog to take a pill. To save his life. I tried everything. I tried any kind of food you could think of, and that dog would not touch it. And then I went into panic mode. After a couple of days of him not having any of his heart meds or anything, I went into kind of severe panic mode, because my one before him pretty much had the same thing. And, he went into full-blown, heart attack at the house. And that was awful. That was horrible. And I couldn't bear to see that again. I could not bear to see that again. And loving him so much, there was no way I could do that to him. No way I could do that to that precious angel. So it's just, I sat for another day and hoped and prayed that he would, maybe do something or take meds, and he just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. And he just they just give you that sign, like it's time. I'm tired. A couple of my other ones were the same way. They, I came home from church one day, and the one was, just still in her bed, and, she could hardly get up. And, at that time, I knew it was time. And, it's weird, because I think the weird part of it is that, we go day in and day out, and I think the strange thing about animals is like, we see them like this, right? We see them like how they are now. And then it's like, all of a sudden, 10 years has gone by. And then it's like, wow, they're 10 years old, and now there's something wrong. And you never thought that day was going to come. You never saw it coming. And there's never a good time when it hits. There's never any kind of preparation for it. It shakes up your whole world. And if you have a family, you know, with kids and stuff, you have to prepare your kids. And depending on how old they are, I mean, you have to work with that. I'm lucky in the sense that I've been, you know, looking and reading and studying pet loss for a long time. And, you know, kids are different creatures when it comes to pet loss. They understand it differently. They digest it differently. And sometimes adults, you know, are taken by it. They you know, they don't understand why either it's easy for a child or sometimes it's hard for a child. It just depends. You know, my son took my last dog very hard. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I feel, and again, like, I've been doing pet loss for years, and I will be the first person to say that I think because I think it was because I was in so much of my own grief during that period with that dog that I made a mistake with his grief, with my son's grief. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but I could have handled it differently with how I could have handled it differently with how I told my son about the passing of his dog. I guess I just didn't handle it right. And as a parent, you know, we don't do everything correctly. And, you know, that's one thing that I guess if I could go back, I would make changes on. But you can't, you know, you're not going to do everything right as a parent. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay. I just know that in the future, there's better ways to do things, or maybe I had to go through that situation in order to be able to help somebody else's family that may have a child that is like my son. So, because every child is different, every child has a different maturity level. So, and who knows? But so, yeah, your animals will tell you. They will tell you, shockingly enough. And you will, no matter what, go through all the stages of grief. One, you're always going to question it. There'll be something that will creep into your mind and say, was it the right time? Did I do it right? You know, all this stuff. But it was. It was. If your pet is out of pain, then it was the right time. If they got to move on to a peaceful afterlife with you by their side, and are no longer maybe on medication or just not feeling well, then it was time. Then it was time. And you gave the ultimate act of love as a pet owner, as hard as it was. So I'm sorry if this was not the most fun Valentine's Day video, but unfortunately, Pet loss is not a very fun topic, but it's a very important one because not a lot of people talk about it. And the goal of these videos are to bring awareness to, the goal of the videos is to bring awareness to pet loss and to normalize it. Because I think a lot of people, when they do lose pets or they go through something like this, it is very isolating. And a lot of times people are scared to ask questions, or they're scared to tell people that they're grieving, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be at all. So until next time, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. Thanks for stopping by. Pardon my Frenchie. This is me, 143. From Rosie and Coco Chanel. Have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. Take care. Hit that like or subscribe button and tell all your friends about us. Take care. Bye-bye. You can say bye-bye. You can say bye-bye. You can say bye-bye. You can say